Hey everybody, Philip here. In this video I'll be demoing the Gainlord by Tubesteader, which is a dual tube preamp and overdrive pedal inspired by those classic British rock amps of the late 60s through 80s. The Gainlord uses two ECC8312AX7 tubes, and both distinct channels feature their volume gain, treble, mid and bass knobs, as well as a bright switch. The bright switch as well as the channel select switch can be controlled remotely with a TRS cable, and you also get a tone cut switch on the side of the pedal designed to switch between preamp and front of amp use. The Gainlord runs on 12 volts DC at 500 milliamps. It comes with its own power supply. Let's check it out. Okay, here's my Les Paul Standard 50s going into the Poweramp of my Rev D20. So I'm going into the effects loop return, bypassing the preamp section of the Rev. I'm only gonna use the Gainlord as a preamp here in this first part. The Poweramp section of the Rev is a 6v6 power section, and I think the Gainlord does a beautiful job as a preamp, sounds killer. So here's the guitar into the Poweramp. So as you can tell, not much going on, pretty dark and mellow sound. Let's go for a clean sound on the clean channel of the Gainlord first. So there is a slight edge of breakup there if I really dig in. However, we'll later explore more gainy settings also on this cleaner channel. Let's go first to the dirty channel. Super bitey, beautiful, feels great on the fingers, lots of fun, and also beautiful cleanup, as you could tell. Okay, without, changing any settings on the dirty channel, let's go to the clean one and increase the gain first of all. Here is this gain setting without the bright switch, which I had engaged on both channels, by the way. And then let's go to 12 o'clock, but let's crank the treble knob. So beautiful crunch then, or let's get rid of treble, make it smooth. It gets dark and, you know, but still beautiful front end of the note, does not get difficult to play. Here's the mids cranked. No mids. Bass cranked. And no bass. So very interesting and powerful EQ there. I do like to get rid of a little bit of bass here, make it a bit more tight, and add treble as well as mids. On the gain knob, I like it clean, but I also like a crunch setting, and I do like to engage the bright switch, and then you get this. Beautiful edge of breakup sound there. You know, you can run other pedals into it, fuzzes or what have you. And then dirty channel. I had this setting going on. Same thing without the bright switch. And since you can have the bright switch on a foot switch, you know, it's almost like a third channel because it does add upper mids, it does add air and crunch. However, it also adds gain. Let's leave the bright switch engaged. Let's get rid of some treble here. Or no bright switch, but more treble. Let's crank it without the bright switch. And then no treble without the bright switch. Also very powerful EQ section here. Here are the mids cranked without the bright switch. Gain knob on 12 o'clock all the time. And no mids. Mids and treble on 12 o'clock. Here's the bass knob cranked. And here's no bass. So, as you can tell, very usable EQ. Depending on where I have the bright switch, if I have it engaged, I might not need too much treble and mids. Feels great like this. And then let's go for 3 o'clock gain. Feels great. Full gain, maybe without the bright switch, but then let's add some treble and some mids, and let's make the bass a bit tighter. Or engaging the bright switch, but then maybe getting rid of some treble, but then more mids, not too much bass. So a very bitey and aggressive gain channel. However, you know, you can make it smoother without the bright switch. A lot of options here with those both channels and all these EQ possibilities, huge gain range. It feels great. I'm just very quickly, because otherwise this demo will be very long, very quickly show you how the Gainlord sounds going into the front end of the amp. There's the switch at the side, which, you know, is meant to make the EQ be more suitable for that. Let's check it out very briefly up next. Okay, Ref D20 then. And here comes the clean channel first. I find I do not need the bright switches going into the front end of the amp. Here it is with a bright switch though. Maybe on the neck pickup I would engage it. Which sounds great. And then dirty channel. Beautiful stuff, and bright switch and more gain. So it's a killer overdrive pedal, you know, just going into the front end of the amp. Lots of possibilities there. You can use it as a power amp, as I showed you in the first part. Beautiful work by Tubesteader. The Gainlord is killer. I'm really impressed by the Gainlord. It feels great, lots of versatility. It definitely has this tube amp feel. It's just another beast. If you have never tried out tube preamps or tube overdrive pedals, I highly recommend that you check out Tubesteader in general. And if you like those British, you know, very aggressive type of overdrive tones, I highly recommend the Gainlords. Although the clean channel also gives you lots of beautiful clean tones, so it's a very versatile beast in my opinion. Feels great, as I said already. The bright switch is killer, which you can also control remotely. This little switch at the side also lets you choose between front of amp use as well as preamp use. I think I forgot to mention that I switched to the front of amp setting here in this last part when I was running the Gainlord into the front of the amp there. Killer stuff, lots of chimey tones, lots of warm tones as well if you want to. Very paddleboard friendly as well for what you get. 2 channels, so killer stuff. Tubesteader is incredible. I highly recommend them. I highly recommend the Gainlord. Thanks for watching this demo, guys. Please subscribe, please leave me a like and a comment, and I hope to see you for the next one. Ciao.